Imagine this. You're just another face in the crowd. A man who, when approaching a woman, says the same worn-out words she's heard 1,000 times before. Hi, how are you? Are you surprised that she barely looks up before losing interest completely? Because here's the uncomfortable truth. Most men are invisible because they say the same things, do the same things, and expect different results. Do you want to know why so many men fail when approaching a woman? Because they don't understand that the right words can be the difference between being ignored or desired. Today, I'm going to teach you something nobody dares to tell you. There are phrases that spark immediate interest, phrases that make them feel irresistibly attracted. But they're not cheap compliments or ridiculous pickup lines. They're words that play with her curiosity, that force her to see you differently. Stay with me, because what's coming isn't just some cheap trick. It's a complete transformation in the way you communicate. I'm going to show you 5 phrases that, when used correctly, ignite genuine desire in them. And believe me, the last one will be the one she never forgets. I'm Celia, and today I'm going to teach you what nobody else dares to say. Are you ready? Because this isn't for everyone. This is for men who are tired of being ignored. Have you ever wondered why everything you say seems to go unnoticed by women? You could be a man with experience, intelligence, and good values, but if your words sound like the tired echo of everything they've heard before, then you simply don't exist. Because there's something you need to understand once and for all. When you open your mouth, you're either interesting or irrelevant. It's that simple. You're different. That's why I'm interested in you. That's the game-changing phrase. Because while everyone else presents themselves as copies of the same boring guy, you can stand out without trying too hard. Think about it. Most men enter a conversation hoping to be accepted. They try hard to be likable, to be nice, to avoid making mistakes. But that approach only makes them predictable, boring, easy to ignore. Women don't want a man who's desperate to please them from the first moment. They want someone who challenges them to discover more. Someone who projects mystery, not desperation. Now picture this. You're at a party or even somewhere casual like a coffee shop. You strike up a conversation with a woman who, at first glance, seems untouchable. Every guy in the room is eyeing her from a distance, but no one dares to do something different. When you finally exchange words, you don't start with a "Hi, how are you?" or "Can I buy you a drink?" No, you look her straight in the eyes and say, "You're different. That's why I'm interested in you." Just like that, with no fear. Those words trigger something in her, because by saying that, you're not flattering her, you're not throwing her some cheap compliment anyone could repeat. You're throwing down a challenge. You're telling her there's something about her that caught your attention, but you're not making it obvious. You're opening the door to curiosity. You're inviting her to show you why she's different. And I assure you, few things in this world capture a woman's attention more than feeling truly seen for who she is, not just what she appears to be. But of course, here's the problem. Most men are so afraid of rejection that they prefer to stay in the safe zone of the ordinary. And ordinary is boring. If you approach a woman like everyone else, you're just another random guy. But when you use this phrase with the right attitude, what you project is something entirely different. You're telling her you're not like the others, that you see something in her that most guys can't even notice. That difference is what will keep her mind replaying what you said, because instead of focusing on what you can offer her, you give her the impression that she has to show you something special. And that shift in dynamics changes everything. Because while every other guy treats her like a queen from the start, you let her know she still has to prove she deserves your interest. Now, I'm not saying that saying these words will guarantee immediate results. This isn't magic, this is strategy, psychology. The truth is, many women have learned to shut men down before giving them a real chance. They do it because they're tired of hearing the same thing over and over. Of feeling like every guy who approaches them comes with a pre-rehearsed script, desperate for their approval. You're different. That's why I'm interested in you. That phrase opens doors because it puts her on unfamiliar ground. It makes her feel like her first impression wasn't enough, that there's something you see in her, and she wants to make sure you don't misinterpret it. And that creates intrigue. That's the key that allows you to keep talking without her losing interest in what you have to say. Now tell me, what do you prefer? To keep approaching women like everyone else, greeting them like an ordinary guy who leaves no impression? Or to start projecting something truly worth remembering? Because what's coming next is going to take this principle to the next level. What's coming next will show you how to plant yourself in her mind in a way she can't ignore. Are you ready to learn it? Let's do this. What I just revealed to you is only the beginning, because getting her attention is one thing, but keeping it and deepening her interest is an art that few truly understand. And this is where we step into territory most men never dare to explore. Because the phrase I'm about to show you doesn't just spark her curiosity, it challenges her perception of you, something her mind can't easily ignore. We've reached the second key point of this video, and it is, I didn't expect that from you. Take a moment and think about those words. It's a gentle yet precise hit to her pride, her need to be understood, to be seen accurately. Because in a world where everyone seems to be chasing validation, you're giving her something completely different: uncertainty. And let me tell you something, well-applied uncertainty can be the most powerful seed of attraction. Because when someone feels like they haven't fully figured you out, when they believe they've made a mistake in judging you, their mind focuses on trying to correct that mistake. It's human nature. It's inevitable. But let's go even deeper. This isn't about cheap manipulation or childish games to grab attention. This is pure psychology. Because most men strive to be predictable, to be nice, to show they're confident and stable from the very first moment. And sure, those qualities have value, but only when revealed at the right time. Showing all your cards from the start isn't confidence. It's desperation. It's like trying to prove you're perfect the second you meet her, when in reality, all you're projecting is insecurity. So, why does this phrase work so well? Because when you say, I didn't expect that from you, she feels like her image, the one she carefully projects to the world, wasn't enough to impress you. You challenge her to see you from a different perspective, to wonder if she really has you wrapped around her finger, or if, instead, you're the one presenting her with a challenge. And believe me, there's nothing more effective than subtly challenging a woman who's used to being admired effortlessly. Think about this. We live in a society where instant validation is the norm. Likes, comments, messages, filled with empty compliments that mean nothing. She's used to receiving constant attention from men trying to impress her at any cost. But you're not playing that game. You're not chasing her like a desperate puppy. On the contrary, you're showing her that her first impression wasn't enough to fully earn your interest. Do you realize the impact of that? Suddenly, she feels like she has to work to make you see her differently. Because your approval isn't guaranteed, because you've made it clear you expected something different from her. That maybe, after all, she's not as interesting as she thought. And this is where her internal validation mechanism kicks in. Because now you're the one setting the rules. And even though she'll never admit it, it will bother her that you don't see her the way everyone else does. But here's something even more important. This type of interaction doesn't just heighten her interest, it also projects something fundamental for any man who respects himself: dignity. Because a man who allows himself to doubt, who allows himself to evaluate a woman without handing over all his approval from the first second, is a man who values himself, a man who isn't afraid to make things a little uncomfortable if it means keeping his authenticity intact. And women, even if they never say it out loud, respect that more than any empty flattery. So the next time you feel like she's trying to impress you, like she wants you to fall at her feet with sweet words or calculated gestures, hit her with that phrase like a knife slicing through the monotony. I didn't expect that from you. Watch her reaction. Feel how her interest skyrockets because instead of putting her on a pedestal, you've made her doubt. You forced her to wonder who you really are and what it is you expect from her. And here's the most interesting part. If you think this is powerful, wait until you hear what's next. Because what I'm about to reveal will take this principle even further, showing you how to establish a genuine, challenging connection. Are you ready to take this to the next level? Let's get to it. We've reached the third point of this video, and this is where things really start to change. Because so far, I've shown you how to spark her curiosity and plant the necessary doubt to make her mind start revolving around you. But none of that matters if you can't deliver a direct hit to her emotions, something that makes her feel that being with you is unlike anything she's ever experienced before. And that powerful tool is this simple phrase, "I like that about you." You might think this sounds too simple, but don't be fooled. The power of these words isn't in shallow praise, it's in how you use them. Because this isn't about complimenting her looks or her style like everyone else does. This is about something much deeper, giving her recognition for something genuine, something almost no one else notices. And when you do that, you trigger a psychological phenomenon very few men understand. Women are used to men complimenting the obvious. "You're so beautiful. You have a lovely smile." You know what happens when you say something like that? Nothing. It's like throwing a stone into the ocean and expecting it to make noise. Because she's already heard those words 1,000 times. They're generic compliments that any guy without character can repeat. But when you say, "I like that about you," referring to something you've noticed about her way of thinking, her sense of humor, or her unique perspective on the world, something different happens. Because at that moment, she understands you're seeing beyond the superficial, that you're someone who can notice what others can't. Imagine this, you're talking to her, and in the middle of the conversation she makes a clever comment or shows genuine passion for something she cares about. You look at her, take a pause and say, "I like that about you," the way you can see things from a different perspective. Her reaction will be immediate, because now she feels you've recognized something truly hers, something that's part of her essence. And that, my friend, is what creates genuine attraction. Because this isn't just about giving compliments, it's about validating her identity, making her feel that her true self is seen, appreciated, and respected. And I assure you that's worth far more than any empty comment about her appearance. Plus, this phrase puts you in a position of emotional power, because while everyone else is desperately trying to impress her, you're simply acknowledging something authentic and pointing it out in a calm and natural way, as if you're completely sure of what you're saying and don't need her approval to feel valid. And why does this strategy work so well? Because, like anyone else, she wants to be accepted for who she truly is, not for what she appears to be. And if you can show her that you can see what others can't, that you appreciate something real about her without trying to buy her interest with empty flattery, then you'll be making a difference that very few men can. It's like walking through a door most people don't even know exists. Now, this doesn't mean you should make things up or force a compliment you don't actually feel, because if you try to fake interest, she'll notice right away. What you need to do is listen, observe, and pay attention to those small details that make her unique. And when you find something that genuinely catches your attention, say it without hesitation. That authenticity is what makes this strategy so powerful. But there's more, because if you think this is all there is to it, you're mistaken. There are still 2 more phrases that will take your communication skills to another level. And if you're truly understanding what I've been teaching you so far, you know this isn't just a cheap trick. This is a complete shift in the way you interact. Before moving on, I want to ask you something. If this is resonating with you and you're ready to learn what really works, hit that subscribe button right now and leave a like so I can keep sharing this content with you. Also, I want to know where you're watching from. Drop your country in the comments and tell me if you've ever used a compliment that truly made a difference. Because what's coming next is going to challenge everything you thought you knew about how to spark her genuine interest. Don't miss it. So far, we've talked about how to catch her attention, how to spark her interest by challenging her perception, and how to genuinely connect by validating what truly matters to her. But this is where most men fail, because even if they've managed to capture her attention and even stir her curiosity, they fall into the trap of showing their interest too quickly. When you do this, when you bend over backward to prove you're worth her time, you instantly put yourself in a position of weakness. Now let's get into the strategy that can make all the difference, and it all comes down to a phrase as powerful as it is dangerous if you don't know how to use it properly. I bet you can't. This simple line carries a challenge that, when used correctly, can make her obsess over proving to you that she can exceed your expectations. But if you use it out of desperation, you'll only come off as insecure. Because here's the real secret: the challenge must be genuine, born from an authentic interaction, not some shallow trick to impress her. And why does it work so well? Because human beings have a natural urge to prove their worth when they feel it's been questioned. It's a psychological mechanism rooted in our evolutionary need to be recognized, to not be dismissed as irrelevant. When you throw out a challenge that appeals to her sense of competition or her desire to impress you, you're tapping into something she can't easily ignore. But this isn't about humiliating her or testing her in some ridiculous way. It's a subtle game that invites her to participate in something exciting, to show you she has something unique to offer. Picture this. You're having a casual conversation, maybe sharing a funny story. In the middle of the chat, she mentions she loves cooking or that she's great at making decisions under pressure. You smile calmly and say, "I bet you can't surprise me with something truly different." That line, said with confidence and at the right moment, becomes an unspoken challenge she'll feel compelled to accept. Because now, instead of simply receiving your approval, she feels she has to earn it. She needs to show you she's not like everyone else. But here's the mental trap most guys fall into. They try to do this from a place of desperation. They become pushy, awkward, even aggressive. They think that by constantly throwing out challenges or trying to force their interest, they'll trigger something in her. And what they fail to understand is that the challenge needs to be subtle, almost as if you don't care whether she takes it or not. Because when you show her that you're not desperate to impress her, that's when you truly capture her interest. The problem is, most men are chasing external validation. They want her to prove to them that they're worth her attention. But this is a monumental mistake, because when you desperately seek that validation, your challenge turns into a plea disguised as arrogance. And instead of projecting confidence, all you're really showing is neediness. If you truly want this phrase to work, you have to learn to let go of control. You have to throw it out there like tossing a glove on the table, not caring whether someone picks it up or not. Because the real point isn't for her to accept the challenge right away, but for her to keep thinking about it, to carry it in her mind like a stubborn thought she wants to resolve. And when she finally decides to take it on, it'll be because she chose to prove something to you, not because you forced her into it. Think about it. How many times have you found yourself trying to prove your worth out of pure desperation? How many times have you thrown out challenges without realizing you were doing it from a place of needing acceptance? That's what needs to change. Because if you keep looking for validation from others, you'll always be the guy who settles for the crumbs of attention he receives. What I'm about to teach you now is how to avoid that trap, how to use this phrase in a smart and authentic way, so she feels the need to prove herself to you. But before we move on, I need to ask you something important. If you've understood what it truly means to project confidence and authenticity so far, hit that subscribe button and leave a like right now. I also want to know where you're watching from, and if you've ever found yourself falling into that desperation of trying to prove your worth, drop it in the comments. Because what's coming next is going to reveal a truth most people prefer to ignore. A truth that could mean the difference between just being another guy or becoming someone who leaves a mark impossible to forget. Are you ready to discover it? Let's go. Now we've reached the final point of this video, and this is the knockout punch you need to understand to truly make a difference. Because everything I've taught you so far will be useless if you don't learn how to use the phrase that triggers a visceral reaction in any woman's mind. And that phrase is, "You're wrong about me." Think about it for a moment. How many times have you felt like she already had you completely figured out, labeled, dismissed? People have this annoying habit of assuming they know you, that they can guess who you are based on a few words or the way you present yourself. But when you say, "You're wrong about me," you shatter that illusion into 1,000 pieces, because you're challenging her judgment, her perception, her certainty. And nothing makes a stronger impact than shaking up the reality someone thinks they have under control. Women, like anyone else, have expectations. When they interact with you, they already have a preconceived idea of who you are, what you want, and how you're going to act. And if you allow yourself to be boxed into that image they've created, then you become exactly what they expect, just another guy in the crowd. But when you say those words, you're telling her she has no idea what you're truly capable of offering, that her expectations are wrong. And that crack in her perception is all you need to awaken something real. But here's where most guys crash and burn. They throw out this phrase like it's some kind of magic line, like just saying it will make everything change. But that's not how it works. It's not just about saying it, it's about projecting it, about living it. Because if you don't truly believe she's wrong in judging you, then your words will carry no weight. She'll notice. She'll sense the desperation disguised as confidence. She'll see you're just trying to impress her. And at that moment, you'll have already lost. And you know why most men can never project this phrase authentically? Because they've spent their entire lives trying to fit into everyone else's expectations. Since they were kids, they were taught to be likable, to be polite, to do everything they can to be accepted. And when they finally face a woman they're interested in, they use the same ridiculous formula of trying to please her at any cost. But what they don't understand is that the more you try to fit into what she wants, the less valuable you become. Let me make this clear. If you spend your life trying to be the perfect man she expects, you'll never be the man who truly interests her. Because women aren't looking for perfection. They're looking for authenticity. They're looking for someone who has the strength to show himself as he truly is, without being afraid of rejection. And if you can't prove to her that her judgment about you is wrong, then you've got nothing. The key here is that when you say, "You're wrong about me," it's not an empty phrase. It's a reminder that you refuse to be boxed in, that your identity doesn't depend on her validation, that you're a man who respects himself enough to challenge any opinion that dares to reduce you to a stereotype. And when you project that with authenticity, she feels it. Because even if she never says it out loud, she's used to men desperately trying to fit into her world. But you're showing her that you have a world of your own. Do you want to know what happens when you truly embrace this mindset? You stop depending on her approval. You stop feeling anxious about whether or not she'll accept you, because you understand that her initial judgment doesn't define who you are. Because you realize your value doesn't depend on how she sees you, but on how you present yourself to the world. But this isn't about arrogance or acting like you're better than everyone else. It's about having the clarity to not let anyone, absolutely anyone, tell you who you should be. Because if you don't believe in your own worth, no one else will. And if you let a woman put you in a box based on her first impression of you, then you'll never be seen as someone interesting, someone worth genuine attention. So how do you do this? How do you project this authentically? First, by stopping the search for approval. Second, by understanding that you don't need acceptance to be valuable. And third, by holding your own standards. Because when you say to a woman, "You're wrong about me," you need to say it with the absolute certainty that she really is wrong. And that confidence shows through your words, your eyes, your attitude. This is the final step of everything I've been teaching you. And if you've made it this far, it's because you're ready to put it into practice. Because this isn't just about throwing out impressive lines. It's about becoming a man who isn't afraid to be real. A man who understands that true attraction isn't about trying to be what she wants, but showing her you have a world of your own, and only those who truly deserve it get to be part of it. Now that you know this final point, I want you to tell me in the comments, have you ever felt like someone judged you completely wrong? Did you dare to show them they were mistaken, or did you just accept their opinion without questioning it? Let me know. And if this hit home for you, make sure to subscribe and share this video with someone who needs to hear this truth, because what's coming next is even more powerful. If you've made it this far, let me tell you something important. You're not like most people, because most people give up before hearing uncomfortable truths. Most people prefer to live in the fantasy that everything will magically work out, without effort, without real change. But you're not like that. You've chosen to face what others prefer to ignore. And that, believe me, puts you in a privileged position. Because those who dare to listen are the ones who dare to change. What you've learned today isn't about cheap tricks or lines meant to impress superficially. It's a mindset shift. It's understanding that if you don't project strength, authenticity, and confidence, you'll always be just another man in the crowd. And that's a reality few people want to accept. But you've made it to the end because you know you deserve something more. Because you understand that only those who dare to challenge their own fears can truly achieve something different. Now, the decision is yours. You can ignore what you've learned and keep making the same mistakes that have left you feeling empty and frustrated. Or you can apply everything I've shown you and start projecting a version of yourself that no one will be able to ignore. The easy option is to stay exactly where you are, repeating the same patterns that keep you stuck. But the right option, the one that will truly allow you to live with dignity and respect, is to act now. I want you to leave a comment with these words: I am the captain of my destiny. Write that down and tell me where you're watching from. Because this community is growing, and I want to know who the men and women are who are ready to leave superficiality behind and commit to real change. I'm Celia, and this is Wisdom's Haven, a channel that's not here to sugarcoat reality or tell you everything's fine. Because the truth is, nothing is going to get better until you decide it must get better. I'm here to show you what others prefer to keep quiet, so you can stand up, take control of your life, and reclaim the dignity you should have never lost. If this message resonated with you, subscribe right now and share this video with someone who needs to wake up, because this doesn't end here. 2 more videos will appear on the screen that will complement what you've learned today. Choose one and keep moving forward. Because your transformation doesn't end with this video, it's just beginning.